This is gonna be a video about Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush, like a third-person action game, right? Very much like a game about rhythm and timing things like timing counters and combos and all those things, right? Hi-Fi Rush is a very fun game, a really fun game, right? I like the pacing of the game, the flow of the game, the mechanics of the game, right? All those things, right? Hi-Fi Rush, right? There's various enemies. So most of the enemies that you're fighting robotic, right? So they're like various robotic type enemies, right? Right. The enemies, you're like this defect, right? Like to the enemies. So the enemies see you like as this defect, right? But the game, like is very fun. It is really, really, really fun. First off though, like the main uniqueness about it is that the entire game, like the actual gameplay, is kind of centered like our own rhythm. So it's about the rhythm, right? So the actual music like in the game, so like your a character does everything like with music, right? Combos like with music. So timing things like combos goes like with the actual flow like of the music on the game, right? It's very fun. It is very fun. So the music actually helps you, like in the game, right? This is a very unique way, like to look at like a third-person action game, right? But yeah. So the music helps you time things like combos and parrying and all that, right? And the game will have various tutorials, like various things like for comboing, blocking, parrying, all those things, right? But yeah, a Hi-Fi Rush though, like man, it is a very visually beautiful game. It is very visually beautiful, right? It's more of like some sort of animated series. Like it plays like an animated, looks like some sort of an animated series, right? I like the animations, the characters, the designs, all that, right? And yeah, so all that too as well, right? Like it goes that that cartoonish animated ness to it. If you're into that stuff, you're gonna even I like the game even more, right? Because again, I grew up with various animated shows, right? Animated shows, cartoons. This one brings me back to that, right? It's very good. It's a breath of fresh air to see that here, animated cartoons and all that. Yeah. So the game, back to timing. The game like is very much about timing, jumps, comboing, parrying, all that, right? The game will have, like a sort of score. So, every little, it's kind of like if you ever play a God of War game or a Bayonetta game or some sort of Devil May Cry game, like your various areas, where you're like in a certain area, and you have to fight all the enemies before you can progress further. It's kind of like that. So every little area is gonna have like its own score, similar to a Devil May Cry, right? So yeah, S, A, B, C, D, etc. Right? So yeah. So the more you time things, the more you block things, avoid and dodge things, the better overall like your score, right? You also get like a better score for completing areas quicker, right? So by the time it's timed relatively, right? So yeah. I am not really good at it, as yet, right? Because I have to get better at timing things. It takes a little while to get used to, right? But once you get used to timing things, right, it gets a lot better. So yeah, I will say the one thing this game would rely heavily on for example, QTE. So QTEs, right? So they run a certain button, a prompt shows up, whether it be like I'm playing like with some sort of Xbox controller, right? So or like if you're on PlayStation, right? If or whether it be X square, triangle, circle. In this case, it's A, B, Y. So it's gonna have various sequences where there's gonna be these QTE, events. These QTE events have to be timed, right? And they come like in fast motion. So basically a very quick one after another and another and another. So if you're not really good at timing things like in the game, these QTE segments can be hard. That's probably like the only complaint I have about the game, like is the QTE segments, which I don't really like. But I understand because it kind of flows well, like with what the game is going for, like the music, the flow, the timing thing. So it goes very well with that, right? But you know, a QTE events, right? And sometimes you gotta actually hold at the button. You gotta hold two. No, it's like a one button like on this meter, and then you have to hold it again. And sometimes though, it's not clear whether like you have to tap it near the end or continue holding it. So some of the QTEs are not clear. But aside from that though, this, you know, aside from the QTEs, in my opinion, like, this game is amazing. It is amazing, right? Came out early this year, so very early this year, right? So January this year, right? And like I heard about it, you know, going back February, but I never really played it. Like I don't know why I never played it, but like I kind of, you know, I kind of wish I played this game sooner, right? So yeah, and again, if you like anime style games, right? This character sounds kind of like a Ratchet and Clank. No, sorry, Ratchet. A Ratchet and Clank, right? So it sounds similar to that. Some of the voice acting, like you might recognize, like in other games, right? Plus, I believe this is made by Japanese developer, so this is like a Japanese developer, right? But like they really do, I think with like a lot of Japanese developers, they do a good job on like music, you know, like for example, combining music like with various you know, gameplay sequences and boss sequences and all that, right? And this game like is all about music, but Japanese developers like a very good at action, showing action like in a game, right? So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush as well, various upgrades. Oh, our companions, you gain our companions like in the game, right? So our companions, right? So there's so far where I'm at, there's two, right? A peppermint and the other guy, a macaron, right? So a peppermint that will do it's kind of like these assist, right? So it's kind of like this turn-based type thing, a turn-based. So there'll be like this assist. A peppermint is gonna come in. She's gonna shoot the opponent. She'll shoot down their shields. A Macron is gonna take out more armored, you know, the actual enemy's armored. So the more heavily armored enemies that they're gonna be taken out with a Macron slam, right? So the companions that really add that extra unique edge to the game, and yeah, companions, right? So you basically switch, you can switch between them at any time, right? There's this one weird little mechanic where Macron has to smash down this door. It is a little bit weird. It is a little bit weird because, you know, timing it, so like you time like his punch and he doesn't quite punch like when you want him to punch. It is kind of weird. But yeah, anyways. So, you know, yeah, so you have companions, various upgrades, so upgrading things like combos and chips. I think chips basically give like an extra ability or whatever. And yeah, I can make things like a parrying better, you know, a movement overall better, right? You know, a sky based, you know, for example, a sky based combos and all that, right? So yeah, but yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, I can highly, you know, I recommend this game, right? Please like, share, subscribe. Hi-Fi Rush. This is my video about it. And I was in the, if you watch the Game Awards, right? I highly recommend this game. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.